Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. It is another day on the Flowmax car. Now, unfortunately, my intentions today were to get some different spark plugs in the car, which I will talk about in the spark plug video when it happens, and go and thrash it, do some logs, and see how we go. But it's raining. It just won't stop raining. What's going on? It's December in Queensland. It's just raining every day. It's very annoying. And it's even hot. My watch says it's 25 degrees C. I do have the air conditioning on. It feels hotter than 25 degrees in here right now. Anyway, this video we are doing an oil cooler install on the Flowmax car. Now I actually have 3 of these oil coolers here. One for the 17T car, one for the Flowmax car, and one was destined for a really. And it's not for the reason that I know a lot of guys fit oil coolers. Now, we don't have any issues with the engine oil overheating. The way that we drive these cars, hopefully you've seen the channels, you've seen the racing we do, the circuit and coffee, where we're doing hot lap, like circuit and coffee in the mornings. It's lower temperatures, but it's normally like 20 to 25 degrees C, and we go and just roll race for an hour and a half. Like, we might do 30, 40 races, and we don't overheat the oil. I don't know why that is. I don't know why people seem to overheat their engine oil, but we don't actually have an issue with the performance of the standard oil cooler for the driving that we do and the power levels that we do, which is kind of interesting. But what we do have an issue with, and what I have a fear of, are these factory oil cooler lines. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of them. The thing with them is they're now coming up 10 to 15 years old on a lot of these cars, and they're rubber. They've got hot oil. They run at the engine oil temp, and they have to deal with oil pressure. So we're talking, I don't know how much oil pressure these N54s have, but you can feel there's obviously a lot of pressure in there. I'd love to know if somebody knows what actual oil pressure these things run. It's probably a lot, being a modern engine, but they're under a lot of stress. Obviously, the heat and the expansion from the pressure inside, these joints do get weak. Not only that, the rubber will start to degrade. Rubber does not last forever, unfortunately. And I have had 2 close friends this year have these oil lines split. Luckily, both of them had the windows down, and both of them smelt it early. It didn't just explode. They were basically just dribbling out oil, enough to, they had to stop and actually sort it out or get the car towed, but it wasn't enough to run the engine out of oil. It would not take long if a hose completely come off to drain that 6 or 7 litres of oil that you have in these things, and then you are in for a bad time. So apart from my 2 close friends, Dan from Simply Tuning, when we took O'Reilly there to get checked over when we first got it back in February, I said, is there anything you think we should do to the car now? And he said, look, if he had time, he would have done it. He said, put an external oil cooler on. He said, not for oil temps, but because of these oil lines failing, which is what I'm talking about now. He actually had a customer that done a single turbo conversion. The customer didn't want to do an upgrade on the oil cooler, and I didn't want to do an upgrade on the oil cooler because I don't get the cars hot enough. I don't see engine oils exceeding 120 degrees C. Why do we need an oil cooler? However, that customer's oil line split, top mount turbo, nice and hot, oil sprayed all over the turbo, and the car caught on fire. Now, that's kind of scary. Fire is like, it's the one thing I'm really genuinely scared of. Like, when you're making that 5, 6, 7, 800 horsepower, the amount of heat that gets generated, it's a likely issue. So it kind of scared me a bit. I ordered these 3 oil coolers to get done, and it's just nothing seems to happen in the time frame that I'd like it to. But we're finally going to do it to this car. Now, again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not doing it for cooling, but I'm doing it for the safety aspect of getting rid of these old... Well, this is a 2007 model. Yeah, it's 13, 14 years old. These things are not due to last this long. You can't expect them to last much longer. There's going to be an issue. Let's get it out and add some safety. Now, the oil coolers that I bought back in February, I've ended up selling a few through the 0to60.com store, and I have some feedback from people in regards to the actual cooling aspect of them. Now, Scott is probably the person I've spoken to the most with his 19T car. He's running a very similar setup to my 17T car, similar boost levels, and obviously he's generating the same amount of heat that I'm generating. Now, Scott's car at roll racing will generally have oil temperatures about 10 degrees C lower than my car. So this cooler, in fact, let's go and have a quick look at the size difference. This is the cooler that's going in. This is the only part that's going to make it cooler. Then this one, that is the factory engine oil cooler. Again, a lot of cars don't even run oil coolers. In fact, I think some American N54s don't have the external oil coolers, but everyone here does. But let me just show you the size difference in the core. Like, it's huge. It's significantly more surface area for the air, and then basically more volume inside to disperse the heat as well. Guys, give me 2 seconds. Somebody's just arrived, and I'll update you on the process to fit it. Well, I thought I'd just film this little segment because everything's gone to shit. As that last clip ended, James arrived with his E92 M3, lovely car. I was just supposed to be programming a key to it. I've done I don't know, 20 keys for E90s now. That was an ISTA-P car, but I knew how to get it done. Unfortunately, when I coded the keys to his CAS module, the car wouldn't start. Took a lot of messing around. 3.5 hours later, got it going. You learn something every day. That was okay. Bit annoying that it took a bit longer, but no stress. After he left, it's currently 6:30 on New Year's Eve, by the way. I'm supposed to be somewhere else, but hey, it's car life. I wanted to just throw this kit on and make sure everything was going to be okay with the oil cooler kit. Everything was not okay with the oil cooler kit. To give you guys a bit of a background, we bought 12 of these oil cooler kits. I'd normally buy them in batches of 3 from China. And the first batch that we got, which always seems to happen when you buy test products from China, was mint. They went straight on the cars, no fitment issues at all. The second batch, they had fitment issues with this section up here. Basically, they were supplying them with 2 90-degree bends at the top, and there's just not enough room to run 2 90-degree bends off on that angle. The way we got around it, you could actually use a straight piece or a 45-degree piece, and it would basically give you clearance to run the hose underneath, like I have done there. For some reason, with these VTT outlets, the inlet is so high, you cannot run the straight piece. I had to use a 45-degree piece, and that 45 degree just doesn't seem to be sealing properly. It's a different brand of AN fitting. I mean, they're all supposed to be interchangeable. It's a different brand of AN fitting to what the kits come with. This batch of kits seem to be completely different to the other batch of kits we've got as well, that we've had in the past. Just joys, but hey, it is what it is. And yeah, I basically just can't, I'm not 100% sold on whether that has sealed or not. I have ran the car. I think it's okay, but I might just need to redo it. It just doesn't, not happy with that fitting. We'll see. It might be an issue. I'll update you guys in a couple of days. But being New Year's tomorrow, I just don't know when I'm going to get a chance to get back in here and get it sorted. Another little issue with the kit. Generally, the kits, or especially with the dining kits, the top hose is supposed to come out of this section at the top here, which is what that little gap there is for. Now, the right angle pieces that were supplied in this version of these oil cooler kits, the AN fitting was just too big, and I had to modify the bracket to get the AN fitting through. Now, unfortunately, after modifying the bracket to get the AN fitting through here, it would either hit the, it's basically supposed to come up tightly through this gap and then go up through that gap there, as per the Dynon original. There was no way to get the top AN fitting to come out and go through that gap there. It would come out and go across here, and it was just too tight. Everything didn't work properly. I then looked at the hoses up at the top and realized there was an extra foot of hose. So I think this one is actually supplied in a way so that you're supposed to run that top hose there down, hoop it around, and then it's just a bit weird. The Dynon one is definitely not like that. We have the straight piece down there in the bottom. With this straight one, again, it's supposed to come around tight and then come up through this gap, up through that gap, and up to the oil cooler. It won't do it. Just can't get it to fit that way. So the top one is just coming in on the inside of the chassis rail. Not the end of the world, but it's just not right. On top of that, I've noticed that the transcooler lines... Now, I'm going to blame the Flomax G-forces. I don't know if the GoPro is going to pick it up. I might take a photo with my phone and overlay it. But the transcooler lines, which are just zip-tied on one side, they are hitting the harmonic balancer. My car, I've got pretty much the same setup with regards to how the transcooler was connected in. Never had an issue with my car. Got an issue with this car. And it's actually worn through the... Annoyingly, it's worn through the transmission lines. I'll put a photo in there. So this car, I need to basically finalize what we're going to do with this oil cooler and the AN lines. The whole point of this is to make this a safer, more reliable system for cooling the engine oil, and I'm really not happy with this particular fitting, so I don't know. I'm not happy with that. I'm going to have to work out what I'll do, but I will update you guys, and I now need to track down some automatic transmission cooler lines because I gave away my other ones to Jake. So that's awesome. It's probably going to be a few days before we get another video. I'll probably edit this one tomorrow because, like I said, I am actually late. I'm supposed to be doing a New Year's celebration. Bit of a fail, this video. But hey, this is the reality. I have a lot of fails lately, and that's why there's not been enough videos. Just nothing goes to plan. Anyone that has placed orders today is in New Year's Eve. I've seen a couple of emails come through. I think about 4 people have actually placed orders today. Thank you very much. I would have normally rushed them out, but today's just gone to shit. I will get them packed and they'll be on their way to you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy New Year's, everyone. Drive safe. And make sure you got a daily driver when you're working on an M54.